All right. Hello, everyone. We're only 5 minutes late there. Just having a little moment, a little technological moment with my camera. It always seems to want to show half the screen green. Not sure if it's the plug or if it's just the software or if it's proximity to me, but we managed to get it working, so we're all good. Hello and welcome to the Ramblestream, episode number 35 with me, your host, Richard Worsham, founder and designer here at Janus Motorcycles. If you are an old Rambler here, you know the drill, as I can see already from the chat. If you are new to the Ramblestream, and you haven't picked it up yet from the comments, we usually sign on. Even if you don't have anything else to say, tell us where you're from, what kind of motorcycle you're riding, and what you're sipping on. And if you have a Janus, give us your bike number, your serial number, or your serial numbers, depending on the case. But if you have something else other than a Janus, we'd love to know as well. This is, the Ramblestream is obviously kind of built around Janus motorcycles, but it's for ramblers of all sizes, stripes, varieties, and motorcycles. So there are no uncool motorcycles to the Rambler. So yeah, welcome. This evening we have a kind of a second part to last week's Ramblestream, where we started talking about the first half of the story of the Scrambler. And I hope this evening, if all goes according to plan, we will finish out the history of the Scrambler and sort of how what it's transformed into today, and its kind of return maybe to its roots with the new Griffin 450. So there you have it. Let's take a look real quickly at some comments here. Rowan is first up, it looks like. Gets the Early Bird Award, Early Rambler Award. Evening, Richard. NorCal, homemade mocha coffee. Origin 1, hoping to hear if it shipped today. Origin 1 is already, if I'm not mistaken, already on the road prior to today. So it is on its way toward you. Ray Gates says, here in Taylorville, anxiously awaiting April 8th so I can pick up my blacked out Halcyon Origin 250 number 1055, sipping Jameson on the rocks as the rain pours down. Well, Ray, we are getting rain as well. Somebody this morning, I was at the gym, and one of my friends said he heard that it was going to snow tomorrow, and totally got me. I was like, really? It's going to snow? He goes, yep. That's what I heard. April 1st. I don't have any, well, you'll have to tell if I don't have any April Fool's jokes today. Bob Benstead, Sturgis, South Dakota, Halcyon 450 number 230. 4 to 5 inches of snow last night. Well, there you go. Are you pulling our leg, Bob? And 70 degrees this morning, this coming Wednesday. Gotta love the Black Hills. Drinking a cold Pepsi on ice. Multifarious, good to see you. Richard opens up with the 1200cc Phoenix new bike release on April 1st. Yeah, that would be good, actually. I'm missing an opportunity. I've just been so busy. You know, we have, this has been, I want to say, Grant may correct me, but this may be an all-time record month for Janus in terms of sales. We've sold a lot of bikes, and this last week was really was a good one for us. So we're very, very busy, very happy, but also extremely busy trying to make sure that all the loose ends are tied up, that details are getting carried forward, and that parts are going to be available, and that people are going to be able to get their bikes as quickly as they can. So it's good. It's good news. It's good news to have. It's a good problem to have, as they say. Rowan says, weather is too nice to talk about since I don't have Origin 1 here yet. Soon, very soon. Mark Stevens, Halcyon 250 number 643, Jack and Coke, Westland, Michigan. Good evening, y'all. Good evening to you, Mark. Dave Bowen, as always, good to see you, my friend. Greetings from sunny Seattle. 450 number 41 with a Scotch ale in tow. You like your Scotch ales, don't you? Gary Smith, another dear friend. Hello from East Lansing, Michigan. Gary, Halcyon 250 number 79, Halcyon 450 number 3, Phoenix 250 number 79, the last Phoenix, sipping on a Diet Dr. Pepper. Darren Price. Darren, Daytona Beach, waiting on 450 Halcyon JM 260. Welcome, Darren, and congratulations. Jordy on 450 number 44 black with aluminum fenders, brand new. He's the first with the new aluminum fenders, I believe. Sipping on an old fashioned. Needs some important updates on 450 Halcyon extras. Yes. I will have a lot more updates on 450, upgrades in general next week. I've been so busy this week just keeping up with all the things that have been going on. If you haven't noticed, we've been a lot of news coming out. So we've been really, really swamped, but I will have more prep work done and more updates available next week, I promise. We got Brent Bryan, hello from Northwest Ohio, Great Lakes Brewing Company, Edmund Fitzgerald Porter. Jim Winters, hello from the Indiana Dunes, enjoying a two-hearted Halcyon 450 number 150, Phoenix 78, and Griffin 450 number 3. Fantastic. Roger, and I think, Roger says Halcyon 250 number 1018, Sturgis Road, sipping on some cran apple 7-Up. Nice. Jim Bledsoe, Youngstown, Ohio, Mountain Dew, waiting to see some skirted fenders. Oh, I got to give you all a good update on those. We have some beauties coming through. Next week, I hope to have a lot more info and pictures. I can't promise that one yet, but I hope to have some great updates for you. Dan Radimski, Halcyon 450 number 235, Blue Ridge Mountains of North Carolina, key lime bubbly water. My license plate arrived from Echo Dealer 1 month to the day from the bike arriving. It's temporary. Oof, not good. I was actually working with the folks from Echo Dealer today. I should mention Richard Worsham, Goshen, Indiana, number 68, Halcyon 250, drinking water. I was emailing back and forth with one of the two founders of Echo Dealer. And like us, any small businesses, they've had a little bit of a rocky start in terms of working out the kinks. We still have that, as many of you know. But they have been, it's been getting a lot better as they roll out more states and as they kind of figure out the process, especially the kind of unique situations around Janus motorcycles. So my confidence is increasing in them, and I really appreciate all of y'all's patience as we work through the sort of growing pains of working with them. The promise that they offer of easy registration, easier than what we do now, is worth, and I mean, I hate that some of you all have had to go through the pain of it, but the potential there is so high that it's really worth it to allow registration, dealer licensing, all that stuff to happen very officially. And as it gets better, it will be much, much faster. But Dan, I'm sorry to hear that. Scott Spence, howdy from Elkhart, Indiana. Halcyon 250 number 212 and 450 number 178 here. Good to see you, Scott. Tom Lathrop, Burlington, Wisconsin. Halcyon 250 number 1008, picking up Griffin 250 number 149 on Friday. Drinking water. Unfortunately, Tom, I think I'm going to miss you. I'm out down in Fort Wayne at Indiana Tech doing a presentation on Janus. I'm going to miss seeing you, though. The Felix brothers, beep, beep, ahoy there. 450 number 120 and 121. Jim Bledsoe, sorry about that. 450 number 163. David Husky, hey, David. Halcyon 250 number 138. New Mexico, sipping a martini. Dan Radimski, no Chechnyan bots tonight. I hope no bots. Yeah, let's hope not. That was crazy. Let's see. The thing is zipping around on me again. Rowan, give it time, Dan. Give it time. Yeah. Dave says, Halcyon 14 number 266 in Manitowoc County, Wisconsin, going out to put the plow blade back on my Ram right after this. Oof. Sounds like you're getting some weather. Charles says, hello from Eastern Shore of Maryland. Halcyon 2 number 454, Griffin 450 number 4, and Phoenix number 30. Good to see you, Charles. And Confed Yank, Central North Carolina, sipping Mountain Dews and reminding Richard about Kino's journey in Super Cub. I have actually looked into Kino's journey. I did not know that it was it looks like an anime story. It'll be a new thing for me. I've never gotten into the Japanese cartoons, but it's in my list. I will get it. One step closer. Dan, you don't need to challenge them. They'll come. Yeah, I hope not. Top Banana is Brent down at TT. He says, any photos of your aluminum fenders mounted? Want to see them. Phoenix number 34, sorry. All right, let's leave some of those comments and we'll get our poem out of the way and get started with the program. For this evening, my book's falling apart. This book has been through undergrad with me and everywhere since then. Lovely book. This is Understanding Poetry by Cleanth Brooks and Robert Penn Warren. So this was called the New Criticism when these people came out, and they kind of believed in a different form of understanding poetry that I was really educated in, and I still value a lot. I don't think it's the only way, but the New Criticism is a really interesting approach. It meant a lot to me, and this collection itself has meant a lot to me. This one I did a presentation on, so you can see it's lots of marginalia in the margins. This one is called, by one of Robert Penn Warren's friends, actually, Alan Tate. It's called The Last Days of Alice, and you'll figure out what Alice he's talking about if you can't already guess. Alice grown lazy, mammoth but not fat. I'm sorry, I'm going to pause real quick and make sure that y'all can hear me. Everybody, sound looks good. Okay, I'm going to start again. Sorry about that. The Last Days of Alice by Alan Tate. Alice grown lazy, mammoth but not fat, declines upon her lost and twilight age. Above in the dozing leaves, the grinning cat quivers forever with his abstract rage. Whatever light swayed on the perilous gate forever sways, nor will the arching grass, caught when the world clattered, undulate in the deep suspension of the looking-glass. Bright Alice, always pondering to gloze the spoiled cruelty she had meant to say, gazes learnedly down her airy nose at nothing thinking all the day. Turned absent-minded by infinity, she cannot move unless her double move, the all Alice of the world's entity, smashed in the anger of her hopeless love. Love for herself, who as an earthly twain, pouted to join her two in a sweet one. No more the second lips to kiss in vain, the first she broke, plunged through the glass alone to the weight of impassivity, incest of spirit, theorem of desire, without will as chalky cliffs by the sea, empty as the bodiless flesh of fire. All space, that heaven, is a dayless night, a nightless day driven by perfect lust for vacancy, in which her bored eyesight stares at the drowsy cubes of human dust. We too, back to the world, shall never pass through the shattered door, a dumb, shade-harried crowd, being all infinite, function, depth, and mass without figure, a mathematical shroud hurled at the air, blessed without sin. O God of our flesh, return us to your wrath. Let us be evil could we enter in your grace and falter on the stony path. There's a lot going on in that poem. Takes some serious marginalia to even begin to think you understand what's going on, but it's a good one. It's a very good one. Yeah, I hope still having camera problems. I hope it's all good. Let's see. Let's go back and look at these comments, finish off some more. Confedyank says, Richard, I swear if work doesn't pick up, I'm applying for work at Janus. Nice. Well, we might need a assembly hand. Rowan says, confident, my idea of a dream job. Confidant. Okay, great. Karen Lundgren, I have several. I will post, Jordy. I will post to the Janus blog later on tonight or tomorrow. Thank you for asking. He's talking to Brent, the fender maker, if he has any photos of the aluminum fenders mounted. We would all love to see them, absolutely. He says, Jordy says, I'm not much of a social platform dude anyway. Well, good for you. Me either. I use LinkedIn. It's really the only place. I've been experimenting on Instagram only recently. If you'd like to follow that, it's called The Rambler's Companion with a period between each of the words on Instagram. And I don't really post very regularly, but I used to have an Instagram account many moons ago, and then I deleted it along with my Facebook account. I now have another Facebook account that I use just for looking at the owners forum occasionally. I don't really get on there very often, but I'm much better off for not being on all those platforms. Keith Haywood's on, Carrie Snedden here from New Jersey Shore, Halcyon 450 number 195 and Halcyon 250 number 1043. The pure antique red with gold pinstripes. Yes, beautiful, beautiful bike. Rowan says, dang spell check. Comment for Confetti Yank. Rowan, that's a new one. Oh, I see. Anthony Beach, Halcyon 450 number 24. Soon to be owner of new Griffin 450 first edition. Drinking shake for supper. Nice. Confetti Yank says, Rowan, I'd like to, but partly I feel I'd be really tied down to staying there. And I need funds to move, which means I won't get to travel like I do. Well, got to make it work for you. Be a rambler. Carrie says, decaf coffee for this old fart. A dash of Bailey's in it. Jordan Hand, hello from northern Wyoming, drinking a Centennial IPA. I don't recognize that name. Welcome. Rowan says, all right, we got banter going on here. This is great. I'm not going to read all of it. Confetti Yank says, my April Fool's joke was I was goving up my carved HD for EFI Honda. Okay, gotcha. Tom Kimball, Halcyon 192. Chief, between rambling in the last week in Centennial, Colorado, cold rain today, time for Guinness. Guinness is good. Scott Gornail. Oh, I see. I'm sorry. I can't read it. No bike, but shopping. Learning about Janus and possibly dealership, if that's still possible. It is, depending on your location, Scott. Welcome to the Ramblestream, and post up any questions. If I don't answer them, somebody else in here probably will. So welcome, and it's good to have you. Jordy says, retired. I need a job. Hire me. I can do a lot. Jordy, I bet you can. Yes, and Janus Motorcycles, which I think is Grant, says, we are hiring for an assembly hand here. If anyone has the perfect pick, yes. Shoot us your recommendations, including yourself. Confetti Yank says, welding, assembly, nothing new to work. I do. Nice. Steve Rice, hi all, Syracuse 969 checking in. Excited to hear some updates. Boy, we got lots and lots of comments here. Jordy can artistically assemble. Marcos is from Brazil. Halcyon is a beautiful motorcycle, but I think it is hard to see it here one day. Maybe one day. I hope so. All right. Still some more comments, but we're going to move on so we don't get distracted too much. All right. We've got the poem out of the way, and so we're going to move on to our new section of the Ramblestream, the what have we been doing this week section. So we'll shift over to our next screen. And here we go. I think I've got these. No, they're in order. Yeah. We've been busy, as I say, selling a lot of bikes, but also building a lot of bikes. This is a real beauty. Look at that thing. Stunning. Loaded Griffin 250. Really looks like a great bike there. This is in seafoam, the inland seafoam green with cream pinstripe, brown seat, brown leather battery cap, and he's got the luggage or cargo rack, bash guard, and corn detasselers, as we call the hand guards. Really good looking bike there. That is Don, and that is Griffin 250 number 144. Congrats, Don. Here we have, this is actually an inventory build, another inventory bike. This one is Halcyon 250 number 1048, and this is an Origin, as you can see here. No pinstripe on the fenders or the airbox. Very simple build. Really, but they really look good. They really look good. Next up we have Griffin 250 number 145, and I just wanted to show this one because it is not fully built yet, but it is a real stunner. Let me see if I can actually pull this one up correctly in the order. Kind of skipping ahead here a little bit. This is going to be in raw aluminum, which is something we haven't done before. And we are on this one, we've clear coated the raw aluminum so that it won't oxidize or scratch. And it's been unfortunately taken us a while to figure out the real process for getting this done, but the bike is on the stand, and these, as I learned this afternoon, and look at this, exposed welds. It's really going to be a stunning build. I think, do I have one of the airbox? I don't think I do. Yeah, I do. There's the airbox. And it's really been a challenge to figure out how to get the grain of the brushing correct. You can see there, we wanted to get the right grain. I don't know if you can see on the tank to align correctly. Anyway, that was Brent with who's on the chat now. That would be a Griffin 250 number 145. Next up we have Halcyon 250 number 1051, as you can see right here on the number plate. We'll zoom in a little bit. Whoa. This is a cream Halcyon 250. Looks pretty loaded. It's going to have saddlebags. It's going to have a sprung pillion. He's got the dark leather seat, number plate, and double pinstripe, which I had to get a detail of. Look at this. This is a black with copper on cream. Really, really good looking. Next up, look at this color. Look at the detail on that pinstripe. It's all done by hand. This is Tom, who will be picking up this weekend or Friday, and he says that it's Griffin. This will be Griffin 250 number 149 in silver and blue with white. And so here's the full look at that. Stunning Griffin. Let me see if I can actually zoom it correctly here. There we go. There's the right size. Looks really good. And then last but not least, I promised this one last week. I showed you all a teaser. Oh, wait. No, that's me. Where is it? Where is the one that I wanted to show y'all? Here it is. Check that out. This is a bike built for the Iron Goddess Motorcycle Show. This is a black Halcyon 450 with two different shades. And I don't know if we can actually pick up, look at the fuel cap. You can almost see in the photograph does a poor job of it, but this is a darker pink primary or first pinstripe with a lighter pink secondary. Absolutely stunning. And I mean, I don't usually go in for the wacky colors, but it actually looks really, really good. And I mean, I always say that. Whenever you see them finished, they always look really good. So also got the pink wheel pinstripe, black leather. Good looking bike. Good looking bike. Okay. Take another look at comments here. We got David Hunter. Amazing collection of Januses. Each are special. Do you have a favorite one and why? He's talking to Charles. Let's see. Dan Dempsey says Wonderland. Who that could be? Yes. Scott Spence still having camera problems? I hope not. David Hunter says the rage of cats is often seems abstract. Yes. Racing the Sun says Marcos, where in Brazil are you from? Jordy, great poem, best yet. Oh, nice. Glad you like it. Kelly Chrisman, howdy Ramblers. 450 number 236. Good to see you, Kelly. Charles says just received the Phoenix from Mecum, so not legal and waiting patiently on the G450. Nice. Marcos is from Sao Paulo. Welcome, Marcos. It's really good to have you on. Jordy, all of it. Ugh, too much, referring to social stuff. Facebook is evil stuff. Yeah, I agree. Although I feel like it's sort of a little bit defanged. It doesn't seem like it has the same level of, I don't know, maybe because I've been away from it for so long, but it just seems silly at this point. But I agree, it is terrible. Kelly Cushman, Richard, were you guys hacked last week? No, not hacked. I mean, it was basically some sort of coordinated bot attack on the stream, but it's not a hack. This is all done on YouTube, so it's not us. It's just YouTube, and somebody decided that posting a whole bunch of comments on our live stream was going to be bad. But you all shouldn't worry. It's not going to hurt your computers or anything like that. It's just on the stream. But we were attacked. I don't know what that was all about. We had something like close to 200 people viewing the stream, and I don't think we did. We had a lot. Don't get me wrong. We got 62 on right now, but not that many. Grant says it's just a roaming band of commenters. Yeah. Richard Brown, Ricky B here, signed up for the June 8th Discovery Day and very excited to experience the 450 Thumper. Fantastic. Awesome. Well, we'll look forward to seeing you then, Richard. Ricky. Tom Kimball, local guy at the hardware store, is shopping one of the new Griffin 450s. Does my golden ticket apply? Yes, it does. Talk him into it. Get him to buy, and it'll definitely count. Jordy says, send the Brazilian a ticket so he can take a test drive. Yeah, you could do that. Send him a ticket. I don't know how he can get on test drive, but Michael Webster, green looks great. Good to have you on, Michael. Jordy, nice. Seafoam green. Scott Garnall says, would consider a dealership near the beaches in Maryland or Delaware. I sent my info via the website. Thanks for doing this. Absolutely. And Scott, if you haven't gotten a response yet, please feel free to email me as well, Richard@Janus Motorcycles, and I will at least make sure we get back to you and review it. But we are absolutely looking for dealers. It's at this point, unfortunately, it can't just be everywhere. It's going to have to be kind of a select number of locations, just because of all the logistics. But we're definitely interested in. At the very least, we have a list of folks that we're interested in putting together as we are able to expand. Rowan's not a green guy, but these bikes make any color look good. Thank you. Exposed aluminum awesomeness, says Jordy. Brent says, hey, that's my bike. Woohoo. The Felix brothers, when will the first painted Griffin 450 prototype be shown, and in what color, mane and pins? I wish I knew the answer to that. We're fighting our own engineering team because in order to keep development going at full pace, we can't really take the bike away, even for a short period, to get it painted, and they need it to be able to mess around with. Actually, it's being disassembled like probably first thing tomorrow for another version of the subframe that's going to go on. We're just updating it constantly, especially after my ride over the weekend. But we're making a lot of refinements, and it's difficult to just take it out of the picture and have it look perfect. So the plan right now is to, once we settle on the subframe and swing arm, which probably in the next 2 days, we'll have the next rendition together. We've already made the new subframe, and we have a lot of other work already done. We'll be able, once we settle on that, then we're going to make another one, and then probably send both of them out for paint at the same time. It's a complicated story, and we're still trying to figure out what the best way, because getting a painted one that looks like the production version in front of folks is going to be a great way to sell more of them. So we're sorry we haven't been able to do it yet, because I think we would have sold more bikes. But we're also interested in getting this to you as fast as we can. So we're working really hard at that. In terms of colors, ooh, that's a good one. My vote's on like a indie green, that dark green, but it's going to look good, whatever. We could do silver. We could do, I don't know. There's a lot of different options. I'm not sure. Sometimes I'll leave it up to the sales team. As long as it's designed well, it doesn't matter what color it is, just like y'all are saying. Scott Gornall says, exposed aluminum is gorgeous. I agree. Jordy says, the Griffin looks boss. Silver, white, and blue. Yeah, it does look pretty good, doesn't it? 450 black cannot be bested. Yep, I agree, Jordy. Perry Ford, Janus customers have good taste. It's true. Kid Fed Yankee was over 100 without them. Yeah, I think you're right, Kid Fed Yankee. We did break 100. David Husky, I bought Halcyon 250 JM 138 as a result of a Facebook ad. That's good to know. Kid Fed Yank, also, if everyone likes the live, it'll boost for more to show up. Yeah, it's true. If you hit the like button, it's going to help get in front of more people. Halcyon and bots. It's okay. We'll handle it. Halcyon 250, Detlef 86, relaxing after work in Kalamazoo. Good to see you, Russell. Tom Aylward just ordered Halcyon 450 number 279, and he can't wait. Well, welcome, Tom, to the Ramblestream. I hope you join us every week as we have more updates, and really pleased. Congratulations on your new bike. That's awesome. Brent says, Marco 75, I flew through Sao Paulo a long time ago on my way to visit a customer in Curitiba. Wish I could have spent more time there. Carrie says, Charlevoix Blue 450 is my favorite. Yeah, that's a good one too. Gary would agree with you. Steve Rice, Syracuse is hosting a DGR ride this year, so I'll be spreading the word and hopefully some referral cards. Yes, on the topic of DGR, I'm working really hard right now to get us. There is actually a Janus Motorcycles team right now. I did create that, so if you would like to join the Janus team, we have a $10,000 goal this year, and I think we're going to make it. Last year we raised over $10,000 with not a whole lot of riders. I mean, it was really impressive, and I was really blown away. We're going to set a high goal and see if we can raise $10,000 for the worthy cause of the Distinguished Gentleman's Ride, which is happening, what is it, May 24th, I want to say. And so there will be more on that, but look up Janus Motorcycles Official. That's the team name, and sign up, join the team, and we will raise a ton of money together for men's health and a great cause. Your bikes are the most beautiful on the market, hands down. Well, thank you very much, Scott. That's really very, it means a lot every time we hear that. Grant says, Facebook may have its vices, but you're right, David. We found you and a lot of new riders through it. That's true. That's true. And I get a lot of great deals on area rugs and cast iron on Marketplace. Yeah. And Marketplace is all right, too. I could still do without it. But probably Janus couldn't, so there you go. Bill Keitel, in the Southwest U.S., 100 Harley drove by and nobody noticed. A Janus followed up and everybody's heads turned. Nice, nice. Tom Kimball, paint job question. Let's say someone wanted a custom scheme that made a Griffin 450 look like World War II Spec Ops bike for indie film. You know, in theory, with whom would they consult? Well, with Janus Motorcycles, of course. Give us a call and we can work out some details with you. Give us a call. We'd love to work with you. Wave Shredder, is that what that means? Is there a better photo gallery that actually details the main color and trim colors? I'm interested in buying one, but I'm having trouble deciding on the color combo. If you, Wave Shredder, if you go to our website, here, let me do it right now. I will show you what you can do. Go to the website, and you may have already found this. Let's just say, let's look at a Halcyon 250 because that's a popular one. And then you hit this build yours. Now, admittedly, this is a configurator, so it's not photographs. We do have some galleries you see right here of different colors we've done. We can't do all the options because there's millions of them, but this is a great way to visualize. Let's say you want it in, cream, and you want the pinstripe color to be gold, or you want it to be red. And then you want to get up close and see the details, hit the little plus mark at the bottom, and you can see what it looks like up close. And you can even do like the highlights and stuff like that. I hope that answers your question. That's the best way to see exactly what your bike will look like. Call us, Tom. We can work with you. Yep. And May 19th is that DGR? DGR 2024. Yeah, you're right. It is May 19th. May 19th. It's a Sunday. Charles says, great interview with Chasing the Horizon. Yes, I actually haven't even had a chance today. I've been so busy to post about that, but I just had an interview that I did a couple of weeks ago with Wes from the BMW Owners Group on his lovely podcast, Chasing the Horizon. It's actually the second time I've been on there. We talk about the Griffin. I think was it before it had even launched when we did that? I think so. But look up Chasing the Horizon podcast, and the most recent episode is with me and talking about Janus. Michael Webster, that solid flat yellow motorcycle looked really cool, but not sure how to keep it looking good. Oh, yeah. I think people are saying, there's some people in the comments that have said, like detergent is a good way of doing it. I forget all the details on the best way to clean it, but there's a way you can clean it and it works really well. Wave Shooter, I saw the gallery photos. I saw some cool color combos, but not sure what they were. I guess I could just call and ask the specs on one I saw and liked. Yes, you can. Please give us a call or send us an email, and we'd love to answer any questions you have or walk you through it. All right, I made it through all the comments, and I barely have time to do the main programs. All right, let's talk about scramblers. Let's talk about scramblers. So last week we left off with the advent of the sort of the end of the scrambler, really. By the late 60s, the scrambler was very popular. On any Sunday, with the Bruce Brown film had come out, people were really getting into motorcycles as a family, from young kids up. Many of you all, I know, got into motorcycles around this time, riding trail 70s, trail 90s, little all kinds of smaller bikes as kids, and then graduating up to larger bikes. Scott Spence, we were talking about him. He was riding a Penton 125 and then worked his way up to larger bikes. And that's a kind of a classic story. And the scrambler, as we talked about early on, or last week, really started off as a twin. It was kind of a twin, a sibling to the road-going version. So there was very little difference between the earliest motorcycles. Well, the earliest motorcycles were just a motorcycle, and you could do whatever you wanted with it, within its capabilities. Very unspecialized and very, very nebulous. I mean, everything was sort of still being figured out, even where the engine went or what kind of engine it was, that kind of thing was still being figured out. But gradually over time, as things tend to do, they get more and more and more specialized. And by the late 60s, the dirt bike still didn't exist. It was really more, it was like these scramblers that were siblings to road bikes. So you had talk about like the Honda CL 350 was the off-road, very capable. I mean, it was being raced in Baja 1000 version of the CB 350, which was essentially the same bike without high pipes, without knobby tires, and I think it had a little bit different engine gearing, but essentially the same motorcycle. Then in I forget what year it was that Tilkens came up with the monoshock rear suspension. So this guy, Lucian Tilkens, was an inventor, a teacher, and he came up with his son. A friend of his son was a off-road racer, and he was racing a big 400cc CZ motorcycle, and Tilkens thought that the reason it was not manageable off-road was because it was so much power and the frame wasn't rigid enough. So he developed a suspension system, which you see right here, that's a single shock absorber that I don't know if you can see my mouse. Maybe not. That basically goes up underneath the tank instead of the twin shocks. Let's go look at the next slide. This is the eventual version of what he did. So you can see it's a subframe or a swing arm, very much like on the Halcyon 450, with a long suspension strut underneath the tank. And what he didn't realize was that the reason that his design was so successful was not because he made this frame more rigid, which he did do, but instead because he dramatically increased the amount of suspension travel that was available at the rear of the bike. over what you could accomplish with the paired shocks on the back. And this is a Yamaha YZ250B, which was they won the world championship in 73, and then in 75 they launched this bike, the YZ250, and it basically just completely dominated everything. And so within a matter of months and years, every other major manufacturer in this market was coming up with their own versions of the monoshock suspension. You have ProLink, Unishock, I forget all the different names. Kawasaki, Suzuki, Yamaha, Honda all had their own versions of this, as well as other European manufacturers. But this just dramatically changed it. Motocross bikes really started to diverge from road-going bikes completely. They're very, very different machines with 12 or more inches of suspension travel, and then at the same time, here's an example of a trials bike. So all the bikes were becoming much more specialized. This is an early SWM, which is, as you know, the Italian brand that currently makes our 450 engines. This is actually a Rotax engine that they used at the time. They brought their engines in back in the 70s, early 70s. This is actually an 80s SWM trials bike. So this is another subcategory of riding. By this point, trials no longer means the kinds of trials that were happening in the 1920s, like we talked about last week, but instead an observed trial, which is where these guys are riding off-road. Men and women are riding off-road and competing over really torturous terrain to balance the bike without putting their foot down through these courses. And it's gotten to the point where they can hop over trucks. I mean, it's just, if you go on YouTube and watch some of these videos, it's absolutely incredible, but highly specialized. Look at all the ground clearance that thing has. At the same time, on the other hand, the motorcycles were, this is about the time when motorcycles were breaking that 750cc mark. The Honda CB750, mid-70s, early to mid-70s. BMW didn't until the mid to late 70s. They hit with their 900. And everything was basically becoming more reliant on speed and technical specifications. And they were, as we've talked about, if you read the Rambler's Companion or heard me ramble about this before, it basically, everything became so much more specialized and obsessed with these technical specifications that were being used to market the bikes, because they, bigger number means better. And this kept on going into the 90s. I would say even up to the 2000s, this kind of arms race of specifications. But by the mid to late 70s, let's say, this is kind of my own thesis. Just in looking at bikes and in studying the history, this is starting to get away from what people the reason we actually ride motorcycles. We don't ride motorcycles because of specifications. It just isn't that way. We ride motorcycles because of the feeling, the sensation, and what riding them does for us, when we ride the bike. And around this time, BMW, which is kind of why I have this slide up here, BMW models, while they were competitive, I mean, the big R900, R90 was a fast bike, but the Boxer was starting to age a good bit, and BMW was definitely falling victim to a kind of conservative model approach where they would limit changes. They didn't really release a whole lot of new product. Sort of like Janus motorcycles for the last 3 years. Haven't really done a whole lot. They've been focusing on just staying afloat through a difficult time, which the mid-70s were a difficult time for the whole world. And they didn't really have a good option. At this point, the new K series, which if you're familiar with, that's a square four, or a Boxer four-cylinder, was still, I think that came out in 83 or early 80s. That was still quite a ways down the road, even though they were starting to work on it, and they needed something else. Meanwhile, this engineer what was the engineer's name? I'm trying to remember his name. His name is Laszlo Perez. Don't know if I'm pronouncing that right. He was a test engineer with BMW. He was an off-road fan, and he had kitted out one of his BMW, I think it was a 750, to dirt bike, to be as dirt bikeable as possible, and he was competing on it locally. And he got, without any sort of official sanction from BMW, the R&D team realized that there was a rule change, FIM rule change, that allowed over 750cc bikes to compete in the World Championship off-road. And so they thought, well, we could actually campaign a BMW, and they developed this motorcycle, this version of the Boxer, and they turned what was going to become the BMW GS, which the GS is it was a completely new category of bike that had never really existed before, and something that maybe they I don't want to say they kind of stumbled into. It was it was something that they definitely stumbled into, and it wasn't because there was this massive demand. Well, maybe there was a kind of passive demand for it, but it was very successful. They competed in the 6 days trials, the ISDT. They won. They at least placed in that, and convinced BMW brass that this was something that they should put money into. And so they launched the BMW GS. And the GS, what that stands for, which I think is wonderful. I didn't know this until I was writing this. It stands for, and forgive my German, Gelände Straße, which roughly translates to like off-road road. Like a Straße is a street. Gelände, I've also heard or seen it's translated as woods, which is really, or country, which I think is really neat. But kind of country and street, which off-road road, I think we could easily make the jump to that being the dual sport that we now recognize. And BMW created this category. After that, we have, there's the BMW team at the ISDT, very early off-road BMW. And you can see these were more competitive off-road than a modern GS, let's say. And then the other point I want to make on these is that I think that they fell into the dual sport category a little bit because they didn't have a lighter weight bike. They didn't have a single cylinder at this point, and so they couldn't really create a dirt bike like the Asian brands. So they had to make something that kind of did a little bit of both, and that's kind of what I mean by they kind of fell into this dual sport Geländestraße category. So really, really, really neat. There's the first GS of 1980, I think is when it was first launched. Tremendously popular bike. Went on to win at Dakar, and they launched the Dakar edition, which will sort of be like our flat track edition, I think, very similar to that. And of course, then spawned an entire genre of motorcycling, which could be argued has saved motorcycling. I think without dual sports, there would really be sport bikes and Harleys, at least in the United States. And there's an entire generation of newer riders that have gotten into motorcycling through dual sport riding. It's not for everybody, it's not what everybody wants to do, but it has a promise of escape. And I think we can recognize that in the same love of motorcycling that those films like On Any Sunday inspired in young riders. This kind of freedom, the same idea as seeing Steve McQueen jumping a fence. This kind of pursuit of freedom and of doing your own thing. The dual sport motorcycle captures that really, really well. This is a KLR, my KLR on a expedition up in Michigan. I actually there were 2 attempts at this. The first one didn't end well. The second one, I had to go through the handlebars were too wide. There's the KLR taking a nap, as we say. Here's the popular Suzuki DR 650, another dual sport motorcycle. Look at that engine. I mean, this is, if you're looking at the 450 or, it's a 650, but boy, it's a big thumper. Air cooled too. The DR is air cooled. And then you can find these strange things like Supermoto that's come out of it. So it has gotten specialized. That you're taking a dual sport or dirt bike almost and turning it into a road bike, race bike. You have the Honda version, the XR 400. There it is. This is the progenitor of our motor. So this is a really fitting. What I'm kind of getting at here is that this dual sport category is a logical place for rambling to happen. I think one of the criticisms of dual sport motorcycles over the years is that, if we look back at all these bikes, look at these things. I love my KLR. I think GSs are cool, but they're not really the prettiest bikes. They have their own charm, right? I love a KLR, but they're not stunners like a Harley. Some Harley Davidsons are, So there's a XR 500 at Dakar. I think that's the winning bike right there. So then we have this phenomenon starting in the 2000s of the return of the street scrambler. And I think you could argue that the cafe racer was really what kicked off the kind of alternative custom scene of the 2000s, where a lot of younger riders. I can really honestly say that this is what got me back. This is what got me interested in motorcycles. I was already interested in vintage two-strokes, small displacement bikes, but encountering a culture of custom motorcycles that weren't choppers was really important for me. I have nothing against choppers, and honestly, I've actually really recently become fascinated by it. Last year, I did a podcast with Panhead Jim, and we talked about what is a chopper, and he has a great take on it. But it wasn't something that was really interesting to me at the time, and I think it wasn't interesting to a lot of people. There was had a lot of baggage in this different idea of the cafe racer really appealed to people. And the cafe racer was a very loose category, and I think it extended into the what do they call it, the brat style, as well as the street scrambler. And the street scrambler, what is I don't have that quote in front of me, but there's a wonderful quote by a guy off of the Vintage Int. Maybe I can pull it up here. I apologize, I'm going to run a little bit late tonight, but just bear with me here. This was worth quoting. If I can find it in time. Maybe I can't find it. Maybe I can't find it. Huh. Oh, there you have. Oh, here it is. I got it. I found it. I think this quote from a wonderful article written by Peter Henshaw for the Vintage Int perfectly sums up both the appeal of the Scrambler and our rambling philosophy here at Janus Motorcycles. And this is the quote. For a new generation, the big factories built boring motorcycles and were too deeply up their own behinds in designing only ever faster sports bikes, fugly cruisers, and middle-aged tourers, each covered in all plastic everything. In a world of ever busier and more restricted roads, the priorities of motorcycling were edging away from hyper-performance that no one could use to making a personalized aesthetic statement. Street scramblers became an important part of a customer-led revolution in motorcycle culture as customizers transformed totally unsuitable street bikes into knobby-tired, fenderless, high-pipe faux enduros. Now you can read into that kind of maybe a little bit of criticism, the faux enduro, but looking at this picture of the Griffin, we were really trying to do is capture that return to the simple scrambler that, maybe 80% of the time or 90% of the time would be on the street, but that would give you the ability to go off-road, and it would capture the look and appeal of the early scramblers from this era of Steve McQueen, which were pretty much like this. So there is the Griffin 250, and a great bike it's been. It has not been as popular as the Halcyon 250, but it's a stunning bike. I really put a lot of work into that tank to kind of capture what we're trying to do is take the enduro, the dual sport motorcycle, and elevate the design so that it looks as good as what it's trying to do. If it's trying to do everything, I think the criticism, and I will share this, of the modern dual sport is that they put all their effort into providing a really cheap. I mean, you got to give it to people like Kawasaki or Suzuki with the DR. They can make an incredibly cheap motorcycle, and the way they do that is they don't change anything. 40 years was the run of the KLR, and the DR, Fort 9. And if y'all are familiar with that channel on YouTube, if you aren't, check it out. Fort 9 just released a video on the DR, and it's a wonderful kind of homage to this gloriously unupdated motorcycle. There's like theories that they don't update it because if they change anything, their certification will expire. But the criticism is that the design they put everything into this hyper functional and glorious motorcycle, but nothing into the aesthetics or the design or the kind of the high elevated level of fit and finish that motorcycles require, I think, and deserve. So that was really our goal with the 250 Griffin, and it really does capture that street scrambler, the twin of the road bike. It's like the CL. It's not a dedicated off-road bike, but it can do it if it needs to, and do it well. Here's somebody. This is Tim, one of our customers, on his Halcyon hardtail 250, doing what many dual sport riders only dream of, and bringing back the idea of old-fashioned scrambling. But with the launching of our 450 platform and the new XR 400 derived 450 engine, we thought this was the perfect next step for us to launch our version of the dual sport motorcycle. And here it is. Here's what we're calling version, or I'm calling at least version 1.1 of the Griffin 450. This is it showing it with pretty short suspension travel, the first version, and a 17-inch rear wheel. And there's Charlie following in the footsteps of Laszlo, the German engineer. Charlie really took this design kind of in secret at first and developed it to where basically to version 1.1. Incredible work. Really, really did a good job. Those of you all who have a Griffin definitely owe Charlie a debt of gratitude. He has made this his project. But we noticed some things we wanted to change, and this is version 1.2. The first thing you'll notice is the wheelbase is considerably longer. I'm not sure we're going to stick with that, but we got massively longer suspension on this thing, 5.5 inches of travel, and we're working really closely with Icon Suspension on this. I took it out on a ride on, what day was it? Thursday evening. It was a beautiful day. I just lucked out and gave it the beans, as they say, and had a really fun time. Check our YouTube channel. Where you are right now, check the video we just launched on the Griffin 450 for some footage of me messing around off-road on that one and on-road. I'm biased, obviously, but it is an absolutely incredibly fun bike. Very capable off-road. I will say at least 2 times better than my KLR at off-road riding. And, there's multiple reasons for that. It's much lighter, for one, but also the suspension felt really, really good, much stiffer than a KLR suspension, so it just handled all the whooped out sections of the trail, rocks, gravel. The ground clearance was fantastic. The weight of the bike, the balance, I was really, really pleased with it. The engine felt great off-road, really tuned well for that kind of riding, and I really liked even the longer suspension worked really well, but the 18-inch wheel was I think an improvement. So I think what we're gonna try and do is we're gonna shorten that rear suspension back. It'll improve the handling, I think, to have a shorter wheelbase. And we're going to lose a little bit of travel on the rear shock because of that, but I don't think we need that much at the back. We really focusing on getting as much travel at the front as we can will be the key. So a couple more pictures if y'all want to see some detail shots of the Griffin. I just took these this afternoon for y'all because I thought there weren't a whole lot of pictures of it up close. The exhaust will be closer in. This is the Gen 1 exhaust. I dropped it, went over the handlebars, and the bike did great. Check out the video. This hoop at the back of the wheel we're going to have to kick up because it gets down close to the ground when you really hit a bump. There's that reinforced rear swing arm. And that's the end of the slideshow. So I hope you've enjoyed that. Really what we're trying to do here with the Griffin 450, and I think what we've, in my opinion, been very successful at, is a revival of this Gelandestrasse that BMW invented, and trying what our contribution to this is to create a motorcycle that has the aesthetic kind of brings back a kind of an aesthetic value, handmade quality, and all with the functionality of these middleweight dual sports. And I mean, you can say, well, the new Triumph, Scrambler it's beautiful, and I wouldn't disagree, but it's 1200 cc's or 900. It's way too big for this kind of riding. The new Ducati, which is a beautiful bike, the Scrambler, it's not, I don't know, what is the displacement on that? It's huge. I mean, that's like the KLR, except even bigger, and with more horsepower. So this is this middleweight category is the right spot for the other word that the Germans use is Reisenduro, which means like a durable journeyer, or like the hardy journey, which is I think a really also a good word. So there you have it. I think we're really onto something with this Griffin. I think it's going to be a really fun bike, both on-road and off-road. And I am excited. This evening is actually in what? We've got 4 hours. The first edition Griffin 450 will expire. So you have 4 hours if you want to order the first edition of this. Comes with a engraved fuel cap, a hand-numbered chassis, a couple of other special little options and things we'll throw in there. And of course, you'll be first of, I think we've sold around 10 of these so far. So we're very pleased with the response to it so far. We're excited to campaign it this year in flat track, starting at Sturgis, and looking forward to seeing how it does on the market. I think it's going to be a big success. So thank you all very much. Last thing, we've got some upcoming events. Sturgis, of course, this year. Discovery Days are April 13th, May 11th, June 8th. The Land Between the Lakes camping trip is between April 12th and 15th. If you don't know more about that, get on the Janus Owners Forum, not the Facebook group, maybe the Facebook group too, but the actual one on our website. I know there's a post there on it. And the Duluth Pack event is May 3rd up in Duluth, Minnesota. We have more stuff posted on that, and we will have updates. So next week, speaking of updates, I will have plenty more updates for you all regarding 450 upgrades and options. So thank you all very much for sticking with me here an extra 10 minutes, and I will catch you all next week on the Ramblestream number 36. See y'all later. Bye-bye.